Former President Jacob Zuma's private prosecution against arms deal prosecutor Downer and journalist Karyn Maughan has been postponed to April, pending the outcome of a constitutional court appeal.
Zuma insists that Downer leaked his confidential medical records to Maughan back in 2021. But the High Court in Pietermaritzburg has already determined that the medical note was part of public records at the time. Karinda Jagmohan reports.
The bulk of arguments on Wednesday focused on why prosecutor Downer and journalist Karyn Maughan weren't seated in the dock for the criminal case.
Well, my lord, I personally have never experienced anything like what I'm experiencing now, where the authority of the court is being undermined deliberately and for no apparent reason.
But the pair's lawyers urged the court to consider that the case isn't valid after the Pietermaritzburg High Court dismissed Zuma's summons, something he failed to appeal.
As we sit here today, the appeal against that having failed, there is no summons. It has been set aside. And it follows that today's proceedings are not the continuation of the private prosecution.
The Supreme Court of Appeal has made it abundantly clear that the continued appearance of Ms. Maughan in a purported and an unlawful private prosecution is itself an abuse. And it has made it clear that if it does not enforce the order of the full court, it would play into the hands of Mr. Zuma, who is abusing the courts and abusing the private prosecution.
Judge Nkosinati clearly ruled in favor of the defense.
I hold the view that where a person's constitutional rights are at stake, it is better to err on the side of caution. Mildly put, I therefore do not consider it just for the purposes of the present application to order Mr. Downer and Ms. Maughan to sit in the dock as accused persons. Mr. Mpofu's request is therefore refused.
Downer and Maughan then requested the matter be struck from the roll until Zuma's final appeal is heard by the Constitutional Court.
If he prevails in those proceedings, then the matter will be re-enrolled and they will again appear on a date to be determined.
And in summary, there is the authority of the court's point, which I have already made. Number two, there is the human rights argument, which your Lordship kindly pointed out to me. And then number three, there is the underlying abuse by Mr. Zuma of the private prosecution regime.
But the matter will resume in April, where the validity of the case will be determined. The judge ruled that the pair can legally be represented in court instead of appearing in person. Meanwhile, Zuma will continue litigation in the Constitutional Court in an attempt to appeal the Supreme Court of Appeal's dismissal of his private prosecution bid.
The SCA had no business telling us that this is Stalingrad or it is not Stalingrad, or whether the SCA, those matters are going to be determined in the main appeal, one way or the other, including the fact of whether it is an indignity to sit in the dock.
For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Karinda Jagmohan in Pietermaritzburg.